can all agree that sport is for everyone, right? Well, Adam Hills, the comedian, is a real big advocate for Rugby League physical disability version. So let's find out a little bit more about it.
Follow the wire. The Warrington Wolves Charitable Foundation is moving the club forward in a new direction. They are expanding the game with a newly formed Physical Disability Rugby League team, which is inspiring people with disabilities to get involved with sports.
Now, I just want to stop straight away in that if you have a physical disability or a mental disability, the perception is that you can't play the game sometimes. That's generalizing. But by what this does, by having a specific team, and a lot of sports do, I know in footballers, in soccer, they have certain teams for certain disabilities. It gives you a way in. It gives you a way in to play that game. And that is what people need.
My name's Neil Kelly, I'm Warrington Wolves Foundation Director, and I head up the charitable arm of the Warrington Wolves Rugby League Club. Well, my role within the foundation is to head up the team, which look after sport, health and educational projects.
So my name's Will Maudsley, and I'm the head coach of Warrington Wolves PDRL team. So it involves setting up the training sessions, sorting games out for the lads, getting them to games, and any like player welfare or anything like that. So if they've got any questions, they can come to me. So it's got quite a big range of responsibilities, really. So my background in rugby league, I started playing when I was 4. Volunteered for the Wolves Foundation when I had my first job. I thought I wanted to do a little bit more in sport, so I volunteered at the foundation. After a couple of years, got a part-time job, and then after a couple of years doing that, I got a full-time one, and I'm here now.
The Physical Disability Rugby League team started 2 years ago on the back of a phone call where a celebrity called Adam Hills gave us a call and said he wanted to help support starting up a Physical Disability Rugby League team.
Now, a little bit of Adam Hills. Adam Hills, the Australian comedian who only has one leg. We watch him every week on The Last Leg, his topical show. And God, he doesn't half bang on about rugby league. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love rugby league. It's great. But he has been a real driving force, as they're about to say, in creating physical disability rugby league. I 100% think that. He's bringing it to the mainstream.
And thought we might want to do that. We'd never really thought about it before. I got off the phone, didn't even know who the guy was. And actually the guy said, no, listen, this guy's really famous and I think he may be able to help you. On the back of that, we gauged interest from our participants, said would they like to have a go. We already had a little bit of funding through Children in Need as well, and decided to just put it out there and see what happened. There was no particular any rules at the time, or who or what should play, what types of disabilities, but it was just about people getting together, participating with various disabilities and playing rugby league.
My name is Craig Thomason, I'm the Disability Development Manager at the Warrington Wolves Foundation. Warrington Wolves PDRL team are the world champions of quite a new concept in the UK. The PDRL team started with the very first game over at Victoria Park in Warrington, and we had about 1,500 spectators turn up to.
It's not a bad amount of spectators, 1,500 for something that was brand new pretty much. I would love to know, does the NRL have anything similar to this? Have they got anything set up for physical disability? You would have thought, you would have heard about it with Adam Hills, but I've not. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Does Australia have anything similar to the Physical Disability Rugby League?
To view the very first game. We played against Leeds and we actually got beat, and that's the last game that they lost. That was in February 2018. Since then they've gone unbeaten in the league.
On that, Adam Hills has a great friend, Russell Crowe, and he owns South Sydney Rabbitohs. South Sydney Rabbitohs have their own Physical Disability Rugby League team.
Well, that's just answered my question, hasn't it? Russell Crowe owns the Rabbitohs. I didn't realise that.
So Australia had already been playing Disability Rugby League for over 6 years. Adam got an invite from South Sydney to come over and play in an exhibition game. At that time, Warrington had won all their games. South Sydney had won all their games as well. So it was a bit of a clash of the titans when the exhibition was first mooted that we would do this.
And we managed to, fundraise a fair bit and get ourselves over to Australia.
In August, we flew the squad down to Sydney and played 2 games over in Australia.
Brilliant.
And won them both and became the inaugural World Club champions of PDRL.
And also,
Well, look at that. Once again, the English go over and conquer the Australians. It's not just rugby union, which we keep beating Australia at recently.
a life-changing experience for the guys. They were going to represent Warrington Wolves, but also their country as well.
And to come back and receive national press. It was on BBC Sport that we were the champions, and the lads felt like on top of the world. They felt like world champions. They felt like celebrities.
The physical disability rugby team is having such a huge impact right across rugby league. It's the first time that physical disability rugby league teams have played, and it's almost like an incredible inspiration when people with different disabilities take the field. And actually the first game that was played back now in February at the Essex Stadium in Warrington against Leeds, when the first hit went in, you heard the crowd, ooh, oh my God, this is real.
That's an interesting point he makes, actually, because from someone on the outside, you could almost see it as a bit of a gimmick, almost half the effort sort of thing, not proper rugby league. So that's awesome to hear that when the first hit went in, the crowd realised, or maybe this is proper rugby league, and whether or not they do or they don't have to, they've almost got to prove themselves that no, this is rugby league, and clearly they're doing it.
This is fantastic. This would open out rugby league to a whole new area of people that have otherwise thought that they can't play rugby league or haven't been able to. So everyone's just kind of caught the bug with PDRL, and it's gone massive in the space of just over 12 months.
And the players just want to be known as rugby league players, not with disabilities, and are just as competitive as anybody else. So that impact and the crowd turning out to see it is such an inspiration, because every one of the players has their own story.
That's brilliant. That's so true, isn't it? If you play a sport, no matter what level, you still want to be known. Look, if you're playing physical disability football or walking football, or I know that England have a cerebral palsy team, I think. You want to be known as a footballer. You don't want to be known as a disabled footballer. You want to be known as a footballer. And that's the same with this. You want to be known as a rugby league player.
From players with below leg amputees to upper body amputees to disfigured arms to sight issues, to brain injuries. So lots of different and varied things. So it's nothing that's restrictive. The game at the moment for rugby league is to get as many people just playing rugby league.
A PDRL game, you have 9 players on the pitch at any one time. Of those 9 players, you have 2 able-bodied players who are there to kind of facilitate. So their roles are like to tackle the stronger disabled players, to make sure the ball is moving and stuff. But they can't score, they can't kick, and they can't run more than 10 metres with the ball.
2 players that are taggers, so they wear red shorts, so they tag anyone, and anyone can only tag them. It's fully inclusive, so men and women can play.
I think I watched a while ago. I watched something on the older generation playing rugby union, and they had a similar system on shorts, and so it was inclusive to everyone of a certain age and abilities. And what they did was they had short colours. Their shorts were certain colours, and that reflected at what ability and what level and what sort of contact they can make. And it sort of seems similar in this, that like Adam Hill's there is a red, which means he is able to be tagged and whatnot. So it seems a similar system, and Pixie's now biting my fingers.
Kids can play as well. If you're under 16, you're a tagger.
Sorry, you have 5 players who are full contact on the pitch. And the rules are modified, so if a player knocks on, rather than it being the other team's ball, it just counts as a tackle. and there's a few little modifications to the rules to allow the game to flow.
Pretty much apart from that, everything's the same. So for the PDRL team, during our training sessions, it's as you would a normal rugby team. We do a bit of whack, do a bit of plays, and it's my job to get the lads ready to play as best as they can.
We have people with completely different disabilities and abilities, but we've kind of had to start with being able to fall properly and being able to tackle safely because it's full contact. A lot of it was just around basic skills and stuff, but as we've kind of got on 12 months later now, we're doing a lot of set plays and a lot of stuff that you would do with a community mainstream club.
With our players, it's not just necessarily the rugby, why they're there.
I would assume sort of what they're getting to in that with the physical disabilities, you know, some people aren't as capable of, for example, taking a tackle or actually making a tackle. And so you really do have to practice those sort of basics even more than an abled person. So that must be a real big part of physical disability rugby league. Just the basics of tackling, which must take longer and be tougher to do than able-bodied.
You know, it's another group of friends, it's another social circle, it's kind of like a brotherhood, you know, it's a rugby team, you're all mates, you work hard for each other on the pitch and you have a laugh off it.
PDRL is just full of characters, like that. Every single one of them's got their own story, but their own personality quirks and stuff like that. Obviously we've got Adam, who's, you know, a professional comedian, so he's pretty funny as well.
Good work, good defence. 1, 2, 3, let's go. I'm going up the middle,
My name's Adam Hills and I play on the wing for the Warrington Wolves Physical Disability Rugby League team. End of 2017, I found out the Warrington Wolves were setting up a Physical Disability Rugby League team, and I contacted them and said, can I come on board and help? And I've been playing ever since. My position involves being as fast as I possibly can be, which is hard when you've only got one leg, but it is spring-loaded, so it does help. The more I've played, the less pressure I've felt, because I hadn't played rugby league since I was about 14. So to get back into rugby league, to try and remember how it all works, I felt quite nervous. I felt like I didn't belong. And then after 2 or 3 games, I started to feel like, no, okay, I've earned the right to be here.
I wonder what it's like, they say about children being involved. I wonder what it feels like playing with children involved in the game, as an adult, a grown adult, playing what they would deem as a competitive sport with children, and actually just people with other disabilities that aren't necessarily the same as your own. That's an interesting to think.
So I'd still get wound up, of course, but I don't feel like an imposter anymore.
Captain Jason Elkley, I've known him for a number of years before PDRL. He's done a lot of work with us. He's one of our volunteers as well. Again, another one of the funniest lads I've ever met.
So I'm Jason Alcali. I am I guess you say prop, kind of forward. We don't really have positions in PDRL, but yeah, I'm kind of a middle. I'm expected to cart it up and not kick, I've been told plenty of times. So the most rewarding part's probably being able to play for our town, something that most lads wouldn't have been able to do because obviously we've got disabilities. We've grown up with those disabilities, most of us, and it's you know, something that we've not thought about because it's not really been realistic for us, and we've managed to do it, represent our town and represent our country in the World Club Challenge as well, which was brilliant. I just feel like it gives us all an opportunity to play, and you know, there's some lad, well, most of the lads on there thought that rugby was lost to them or never had it really because we've been limited by our disabilities, but this has been showing us that we're not limited really. We've just got to find a different way of doing it, which is brilliant.
What I've found is that people appreciate what we do even more. I mean, rugby league is such a physical, hard sport, and when people see us playing as hard as we possibly can and hitting each other properly, they're a bit blown away by it.
That's so true. Now, I said, you get rugby union make some big hits, but rugby league is another level altogether. And so if these boys and girls, I assume there's girls as well, I hope there is anyway, these guys, if they are making similar style hits with the physical disabilities that they have, they're having to go through so much extra to perform at this level. You know, that's awesome, absolutely awesome.
So if anything, the response from people has been a bit over the top.
I got bullied a little bit when I was a kid, but you know, when you start playing rugby, they stop, obviously. But yeah, you see it happen all the time, and it's massive, and that's what we're here to do. Really, we're here to try and break down. There's a bit of a stigma surrounding disability, and it's come down the last couple of years, you know, with Hillsy's show and stuff like that, and the Paralympics and stuff. But it's still there. So if we can just say, look, you know, he's got one leg, I've got one hand, and we can play rugby. And we can play rugby pretty well, then you know it's a big fingers up to the haters, blocking out the haters.
The most rewarding part of being part of this team is just seeing the look on everyone else's faces, because everyone here has got a disability. Every single person here has got a disability and thought they'd never be able to play again. I've just looked over there and seen a guy with a leg like mine, and I'm excited. You know. That's the exciting bit, is for me, seeing all these blokes with disabilities and no one feels disabled. I mean, I've been concussed. I was knocked out in one game. I fractured my ankle here about 3 months ago at training. I'm still recovering from it, but that's good, because I want to get hurt like an able-bodied person.
That's so true. That's it. I love the sentiment that when they're playing this, they don't feel disabled. Because they're all the same. They don't feel disabled. They feel like normal people playing rugby league. You know, he wants to get hurt because that's what playing sport is. You get hurt playing sport. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
It will inspire people to get involved in rugby. I mean, I play every week with these lads, and I look around the changing rooms when we're getting changed and like, whoa, you know, I've said it quite a few times to these lads, and I'll say it again. A lot of teams have to look outside for their inspiration, you know, inspirational quotes and stuff. We just need to look around the changing rooms, and that is a massive thing for us. And I think that if I'm thinking that, as you know, as a player, I can't imagine what other people are thinking about these lads. If they've got a disability, you can turn in disability into this ability.
This club has been amazing. What I've seen of the foundation and the work they do in society, whether it's the dementia friendly cafe or dance classes for the elderly or football for kids with disability, it's really, really important. And when you've got a brand as big as the Warrington Wolves in a town like Warrington that everyone looks up to rugby league, to kind of shine the light back again, it all feeds into each other. And we've had some of the players come down and watch us and then be inspired by us. And so it's a what's the word, symbiotic relationship where the club feeds the community and the community gets behind the club and they all support each other. It's almost as if the Wolves Foundation is in the veins of the lifeblood of Warrington.
You know, it's to encourage.
I'm going to end it there now, because I think that's an interesting thought, that rugby league is one of those sports that still has that community feel. Now, obviously, as a football person, soccer, you know, at the top level, there isn't that community. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. You know, but at this in rugby league, the community aspect is huge. It is huge, and it is so important to towns and cities, and the impact that these guys have is huge. An awesome story. Hopefully Physical Disability Rugby League continues to thrive. Adam Hill's on TV. I'm sure will continue banging on about it because he loves it. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Physical Disability Rugby League? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you next time.